Once again, welcome to CCTV, aka the Cultural Connotations channel.
Bringing you misguided stereotypes, racially charged comments, and cultural appropriation.
I'm Anson.
And I'm Brian. Do you hear that?
Dude, I think he's got something on his ears.
I don't know. I'm pretty sure that I... Aussie!
Oi, oi, oi!
I don't know where that came from. That was just...
Yeah, no, it just happened. But
Yeah.
it's just, it's just an Australian thing,
Yeah,
for those of you Aussie.
That's it. That's what we do.
Now, on a serious note, that chant is typically, said. You'll hear that at typical sporting events, such as Olympic Games or, right now the tennis is on actually. So I'm sure you'll see that, and I'm sure you hear that from all the Aussies that are always there. So why this is relevant to our video today is because our topic for today is Aussie slang. How much do you really understand?
Not much, apparently.
Now we thought we'd start with that Aussie chant because it's just such an iconic thing of Australians, and we'd like to just break it down for you. Just explain to you. Really, it's actually comprised of slang itself. Aussie, 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 oi, oi, oi.
So Aussie, for those of you who don't know, I'm assuming that most people would, but for the sake of professionalism, I will say that Australians, condensed or abbreviated, is Aussie. Very simple. Very simple.
Now, oi, oi, oi. Oi merely means we're here. So when you bring it all together, Aussie, 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 oi, 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 it's literally saying, I'm proud to be here, notice us, and we're proud to be Australian.
Definitely.
So Brian, over to you.
No worries, mate. I got this. So, what in fact was just mentioned, the phrase "no worries," is probably, I'd say, the most iconic or the greatest representation of the Australian way, the Australian attitude, the Australian thought pattern.
Yep.
And it's probably our most significant motto or expression, I guess.
You hear it all the time.
All the time. No worries, mate. And basically what no worries is referring to is do not worry, everything will be alright, everything will be okay. So essentially, do not worry, no worries, mate. And it's not like as if there are no worries in the world.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just a testament to our laid-back nature.
Laid-back nature, exactly.
Yes, exactly. And as a derivative of this, there's another very famous one, more modern, but equally famous, which is "She'll be right, mate." And "she'll be right, mate" obviously being a derivative of "no worries." It's essentially used in different situations, but for the same purpose.
And she does not actually mean she, that lady over there. It's just referring to the fact that everything will be fine.
Yeah, so, unfortunately, there is no woman involved in "she'll be right." But I think the best way to illustrate that is through an example. So, you got all your boys at the pub. I said bar and pub at the same time. This time I'm the one making up lingo, not you.
Man, it's contagious.
Yeah, it's very contagious. So, I digress. At the pub, you got all your boys. You're out with all your mates, as the Aussies would say. And one guy forgot his card at home. He can't pay for any beers. Don't worry, mate. She'll be right. I got you for the evening.
That's right.
Typical. So typical. And obviously I'm talking about Australian mottos, but going a long way back, I think almost an origin term for Australian slang would be Gday. G'day, mate.
That's right.
And this was derived or created at a time where Australians had really started shifting away from the British oppression or rulers.
Yeah.
And this is what was really starting to signify the coming of Australian identity. And the reason why this is such an important thing is, so when the English were talking, they would say, "Good day, sir. Good day, gentlemen." And as you can see, that is actually very pompous, very uptight. It's too stiff, And basically what the Aussies did was like, we're very relaxed, informal people. There's no need for this. So we're going to abbreviate it true to our nature, true to our way of life. G'day, mate.
Exactly. So what you may notice from what Brian's sharing with us is that our language, our slang is really much a reflection of our nature, our culture. And Aussies by nature are actually very laid back, very different to, I guess, our origins, which is the British culture. And because of this reason, this laid back culture has seeped into our language, and very much is illustrated by the 3 phrases that Brian just shared with us.
Yeah, it's just, once again reiterating what Anson is saying, we've got such a easygoing, relaxed, laid back culture that the slang that we use is very indicative and very reflective of this.
That's right. So, fast forward to today. Today we have very much a lot of Mondo lingo, modern language.
You're making up your own
doing this again.
Yeah.
Modern language becomes Mondo lingo for some reason.
Mondo lingo, yeah.
Yeah, you heard it here, right?
That's right. Yeah, live and direct, cultural connotations.
That's right.
Don't forget.
So, what I was trying to say is, in modern language, in modern slang, what we've noticed is that we have very typical phrases that we use in our daily lives. And I'm going to use a prop here, which is my mobile phone.
More accurately, mine.
Well, yeah, actually.
He stole it. I didn't notice, but he stole it.
And this is just because this language, it's so ingrained in our culture, in my own language, that I just don't notice it. So I need to reference it, man. Just because I don't notice it half the time. So without further ado, flat out. Now, flat out, this word, it's used in the context of this. Man, I was so flat out today. It just means I was so busy today. And what it actually refers to is flat out, like a lizard drinking water. Now, when you're flat out, like a lizard drinking water, the image you get is actually a lizard lying flat on the ground drinking water. And it kind of gives you a visual representation of when you're busy, you're kind of like flat in your face, aren't you? So it just gives you that iconic visual, I guess, comparison to how you feel when you're flat out. The next one is bring a plate. And bring a plate is typically used in a community setting where, maybe your soccer group or football group or church might get together, eat together. And it's not actually referring to bringing cutlery to share. When they say bring a plate, they don't mean bring cutlery, because what are you going to eat, man?
Not much, just this air is delectable.
Australian is just fresh and,
that's it.
When I have a plate with no.
No.
Anyway, we digress. No, what it's actually referring to is bringing a plate to share. So bring a plate of food, and that way there's no burden on who's cooking. Everyone just brings. Brian brings a plate. I bring a plate. We all share together, enjoy each other's company.
It's very communal.
Exactly. So the next one is heaps, and heaps is not necessarily an Australian word per se, but it's been so used so often in our language that it's pretty much become Australian lingo.
I think.
Sorry, Australian slang.
Yeah, slang lingo. Yeah, it's funny because obviously Anson was saying it's not originally created by us, but we use it. That's a fact. We use it more than any other English-speaking country.
Exactly. And what heaps means is actually a lot. So it's used in the context of, man, that was heaps of fun. A lot of fun. Or what's another one?
We had heaps of food.
Heaps of food, in line with the bring a plate. That's a great combo, right?
Yeah, great combo. Yeah. I think we'll discuss that.
We'll leave that for later. So the next one is cheers. Cheers, mate. So referring to not referring to the celebration of chink. When we're drinking alcohol, wine or beer. Celebrating something in a restaurant or at a pub. It's actually referring to the fact that we're saying thanks in a very casual way. So
cheers, man.
Cheers, man. And I think it has a loose connotation to cheers at a restaurant. But for we've just basically made our own in normal thanks.
As we do.
And now, Macca's, man. So Macca's actually refers to McDonald's, the fast food company.
And very interesting, what we found out is that almost 60% of all Australians use Macca's rather than McDonald's.
McDonald's, yeah.
And Macca's is such a popular term here in Australia, and it's so in line with the Australian way of thinking that there's even a petition going around to officially change the name of McDonald's in Australia to Macca's only.
To the point where, TV ads, they don't say McDonald's, they say, Macca's. And we use it in this very much context. It's midnight and we basically say Let's go for Mac as well.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
No one says McDonald's.
No one.
Anyway, next one. So, yeah, nah, yeah. Oh my god. This phrase was just a surprise, a complete
Yeah,
surprise. Nah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's so used. I was surprised that I use it so much without me realizing it. And we were actually joking in the car today. Brian accidentally said it, and we're like, Brian, did you mean say that? I'm like, no, actually, no. But, you know, we've become so conscious of it since we started filming this episode and preparing for it, that we realized that we use it so much.
Yeah, it's just one of those words that we just use unconsciously at will.
It's so ingrained in our neurology.
Mm.
And there's an interesting fact that I think Brian would like to share about this.
Ah, yes, that's right. I almost forgot. And interestingly enough, I read somewhere that yeah, nah, and nah, yeah is in fact the yin and yang of Aussie slang.
You know, the good and the bad, right? So yeah being yes and nah being no. So, you know, unite together, good and evil, yin and yang. Yeah?
Nah.
So this next section, I just want to give you a good, I guess, guideline to typical phrases or slang that we use in Australian language. Typically, it's categorized into 3 types. And what we do is we shorten our words and we add 1 or 3 endings, typically. It's either the Y ending, the IE ending, or the O ending. So for the Y ending, it's things like brekkie, esky, yui. So brekkie refers to breakfast, esky refers to a portable icebox, and yui, my god, this is surprising. So yui refers to a U-turn, right? But what was so surprising is, you know, Australians love to shorten our words, but for some reason, U-turn or yui, you know, could be just, you know, UIE or something, you know. But we spelt it as Y-E-W-Y. For God's sakes.
Like, why?
It's longer than the actual phonetics. And by the way, it doesn't refer to Yui, the insurance company. Anyway, side note.
Yeah, side note.
So the next one was the IE ending. So things like chippy, sparky, bricky, which are all forms of tradies. And tradies, I'm actually referring to tradespeople. So these forms of tradespeople, so bricky is actually a carpenter, sparky is actually an electrician, and what was the last one? Bricky, sparky. Chippy was Chippy was a carpenter. Was it Chippy?
Yes, the chippy.
Okay.
As in a
I
wood
digress.
chip.
Awesome.
That's right.
So lastly, it's the O ending. O referring to things like garbo, servo, or you know combo as we mentioned earlier. So servo is actually a service station or gas station. Garbo is the garbage man, and combo. Oh my god, this is another one. So combo refers to a combination, and it's typically used at fast food restaurants. So we'll go to Macca's or Hungry Jack's, and basically we'll say they will ask us, would you like to make that a combo? So you know you get a burger, and then the combo they're referring to is the fries and drink. And combo actually, if you go to any other country, it's typically like, for example, in Asian countries, it actually means set meal. They use set meal instead.
Definitely.
But you know, in Australia we use it as combo. I was so surprised, seriously.
Yeah, that really did catch off guard.
Yeah, I was like, what? Seriously? What? And yeah, so that's it for this section. So we're now going to move into a Aussie slang rapid fire segment.
So basically what we're going to do is Anson will just list off a whole bunch of Australian slang, Aussie slang, and I will translate to regular English.
Keyword, translate.
Attempt to translate.
Alright, so ready?
Yeah, I think let's do this.
Awesome. Let's go. Barbie,
Barbecue.
Bicky,
Biscuit.
Sicky,
Sick leave.
Mozzie,
Mosquito.
Kappa,
Cup of tea.
Avo,
Afternoon.
Chunda,
Vomit.
Down Under,
Australia.
Smoker,
Smoke break.
Trucky,
Truck driver.
Druggy,
Drug user.
Siggy,
Cigarette.
Drungo,
Idiot.
Greenie,
Environmentalist.
Thongs,
Flip flops.
Dax,
Trousers.
Kindy,
Kindergarten.
Prezi,
Presents.
and finally Sunnies.
Put my shades on. Sunglasses.
So now I'd like to put the ball in your court once again. Now, please, if you're passionate about any other, Aussie slang, feel free to add it as a comment down here and leave us with any other feedback, thoughts, opinions, any other comments that you'd like to add. And let us know any topics you'd like us to cover in the near future.
Once again, thanks for watching our video, guys. We really do hope that you enjoyed it because we really did. We had so much fun.
A lot of fun.
So much fun doing this episode.
And a huge insight into our own language, actually.
Oh, yes, actually. Very much so. Very much so. So, this was brought to you live and direct by Cultural Connotations.
Oh, and one more thing. Please like, share, and subscribe our video as we'd like to share this with the world, actually.
Of course, of course.
So, once again, we know it all, we see it all. CCTV.